Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to your life path for 2021 readings. So, before we go into it, a few words about the year, or should I say, about the energy of the year 2021. So, many of you will remember that when we got into 2020, I did a video for the year ahead, and I remember saying specifically to everybody, it was going to be challenging, it was going to be tough. There were probably going to be things that we weren't ready for, that we hadn't foreseen, so to speak, and here we are on the other end of it. So I want to put this little blurb at the beginning of each one of these videos, just to give you kind of an idea of the year 5, right? So when you consider that each number vibration is kind of like a response or a differentiation or a divergence away from the predecessor's energy. The 4 year was about restriction, limitation, challenge. It was about repetition. It was about sticking with things. It was about working through things. It was about, the 4 energy, the 2020 is a 4 year, is about, the foundations. It's about the things that are rigid. A box can either be used as a step to take you to the next level, or it can be used as a prison, right? It can, it has both functions. So on the other side of that, we've got 2021, which is a 5 year. The number 5 is about freedom, liberation, energy, being dynamic. It's about passion. It's about vibrancy. It's about the sensual and the sexual. The 5 year is often, in terms of the personal year 5, it's often been called the sex, drugs and rock and roll year. Now, obviously, I'm not, condoning the drugs part. I'm just, if that's your thing, if that's what floats your boat, then please feel free. What I'm saying to you is this energy is vastly different to the year before. Now, what does that mean? It means that you may very well want and need more travel, more adventure, more sex, more sensual pleasures in your life. You may want to try new things. You may be stepping out of the box, and we're going to see this across the board. Now, remember, 2021, it's the year for everybody, right? So regardless of what your life path number is, regardless of what your personal year number is, the energy of the year itself is the number 5. So what are the things that we're likely to encounter there? What's the big word, the one word that sums up the 5 energy is change. It is the energy of change, the energy of difference, the energy of liberation and freedom, as I mentioned. Now, things that we might need to be aware of. Currently, 2020 took away a lot of our freedoms. 2020 took us to places where we were locked down. It took us into this idea that we're not in control, that we're not in charge. That 4 was no longer a step. It became a prison at certain points. Granted, most of us were locked in our homes rather than like actual prisons, but you see the point that I'm making with that kind of energy. The 5 energy wants change, freedom, liberation. It breaks out of that box and says, this is who I am. This is where I'm going. This is what I want. I want to enjoy. I want to indulge in the world, right? I want difference. I don't want the same. I want everything and anything that is new, that is innovative. These are all wonderful energies, but what does that look like on the wider world stage? Everybody in some way, shape or form is going to want freedom and liberation. And if a lot of the things that were put in place in terms of our freedoms being taken away, in terms of, being told what we can and can't do, this is where 2020 could become quite a rocky year, because what you're going to see is the kickback. These things were put in place to keep us all safe. These things were put in place to keep us all well looked after. These things were put in place to flatten curves, to make sure that we were all in a good stead, for sure. I get that, but on the other side of it, how much is that going to be repealed? How much is it going to be peeled back? So the big question that now comes up is 2021. Freedom, liberation, innovation. We could be seeing new technologies, new ways of doing things. We could see brand new, like really advanced healing methods, ways of growing food, creating food. We could see a lot of this. We could see a lot of connection. We could see a big expansion of the understanding of not only connections between people, but also this idea of what it means to be governed from the top and what it means to be self-governing. We could see a lot of that, and the kickback may very well be that, you know, it starts to become a bit of an us and them. You know, you don't control us. We can make our own decisions. We can make our own choices. And the thing is, 9 out of 10 people, if they're left to self-govern, they tend to choose the right thing to do. You know, not because it's the right thing to do, but because everybody at base level is tapped into their own humanity. You know, you wouldn't necessarily go out of your way to hurt another person, you know, unless obviously there's things going on within you. Anyway, that's for another video and another debate. So what you're very likely to see over the course of 2021 is people looking to break out of the specific norms that have been imposed. You may very well see people wanting to change the rules, people wanting to find new ways of liberating themselves and also the people that they love, but also the masses. So you may very well see this kind of energy take place over then. 5 is a very restless energy. It's a very boisterous energy. It's lusty, sexual, passionate, vibrant. It's a number of the sensual world. So you could see a lot of this over the course of the 2021. You might see a lot of hedonism, whatever that means to you, come out. You might very well see people finding new this is the thing, I've said innovative like 3 times, but I can't stress that enough, because it's new, progressive, vibrant, passionate energy. You may very well see a lot of this. I think we're going to see a real advancement in ways that we can travel as well, because the 5 energy loves travel. It loves anything and anyone different. It loves anything and anyone that is foreign to what they know. People will want to try, more so than ever, people will want to try new foods, new food sources. I feel we're going to see a lot of this as well. Like, we recently had this meat-free burger thing come up. I think we're going to see a lot more developments in the 5 year over that kind of thing. I think we're going to see a lot, like a massive explosion towards health, vitality. I think we're going to see sports, all kinds of things around that. I think we're going to see big changes and big evolutions of. I actually feel like we might go in the direction as well where we're not necessarily looking at sort of like, oh, look at us, we're all focusing on the football league. I feel like it might sort of break apart, and you might see that the local leagues become a lot more important, or become a lot more, a lot more focus and attention is placed on those things that are happening locally, and you might see a lot of growth in those areas. I think there's going to be an explosion of health, fitness sort of stuff, and I don't think it's necessarily going to be because it's like, I need to get healthy, I need to look good. It's more going to be a case of, this is enjoyable, and if we can do it together, it's even more fun. So that looks like it's going to be great. But yeah, those are just some a few notes about the 2021 year itself before we go into your life path, your personal life path reading. So there is a link in the description box below. If you don't know your life path number, you will be able to find it. You'll be able to work it out, and trust me, I have dyscalculia, so if I can do it, trust me, you can. All right, just don't overthink it. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Now let's get into your life path reading for 2021. Take care, I'll see you soon. Hello, you beautiful Life Path 7 person, you. Welcome to your 2021 Taroscope with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and it resonates, hit that subscribe button. If you are already a continued subby, you know I love you for it. With that said, if you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can do so on the website address below. And before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms, love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So let's have a look, see what the year has in store for you. Now, this is a reading for a life path. So if you are a life path 7, or you know somebody that is and you're a cross watcher, don't forget to share. But also, so it's not just about your tarot. This is also about your numerology. And I have done a whole lot of delving, and here we go. First thing that you need to know about the year 2025, as you've seen the blurb, it is a 5-year. So what do you need to know? Good news, bad news. Unfortunately, this is an incompatible energy for you. Remember, the 5 is all about being out there in the sensual world. The 7 life path is very much introspective, introverted, self-analytic, self-analyzation is a big part of this. Not necessarily big, ones for big interactors with the world at large, or, being out there. So this is kind of an incompatible energy. Now, good news, you're not going to have it as hard as the life path 4s. The 4s are really going to struggle this year. When I was looking at their stuff, I was like, oof, okay, even their cards. But this is about you. So life path 7, remember, the 5 speeds up, the 7 slows down. The 5 is out there, but the 7 is in here. It's all about the internal. It's about the inner workings of the mind, the inner mysteries of things, the things that you can only find in quietude and solitude is all number 7 stuff. So it may be a challenging year for you. It might be one that you aren't necessarily so comfortable with, but it will definitely help you, because it will bring you out of that. So this is a year for you to learn to be bold and share your ideas, and it's also time to release your weird and wonderful, right? So whatever is weird and wonderful about you, remember your number is kind of ruled by Neptune, so it's very mystical, spiritual, very good with analytics and analyzation, research, all of the deep stuff, like deep web, dark web, deep state, all of that sort of stuff. Very much 7 energy, if you like, if you were to look at it from a numerological perspective. So anything that is weird and wonderful about you, find ways to share that with the world this year, because it will be celebrated. It will be something, maybe in other years it might have been something that maybe gets you, people are like, oh wow, okay, that's a bit out there. Whereas the 5-year wants everything and anything that is new and different and, really out there, really that's going to snap you out of it. So this is the year. If you've ever wanted that year where you thought, what, I feel like venturing out, but I know people aren't ready for this. The 5-year is the opposite. This is the year where people are ready for what you have to say. People are ready for what you have to share. People want to hear and see all of your weird. So put your weird and wonderful out on display. I mean, mine's out on display every day of my life. So what are you going to do? All right. So the 5-year wants you to find new ways to discover secrets and mysteries. So this is maybe, looking beyond the internet, maybe researching old texts or ancient sites, or going to these things, or maybe talking to people that are, that are hereditary witches and, all of that sort of stuff. People that are outside of the norm. This could find new ways of you connecting with them, or finding ways to do your research that connect you with other people. Because the thing is, usually a life path 7 will just go and research things on their own. There'll be that quiet person that you probably never even know what they were into until they actually told you. But this is a year to find those people that resonate with you at that level. Who, this is about showing your weird and wonderful and inviting other people to do that with you, and to share it with them. Find new ways to learn and look into things, right? So not only just finding new ways to learn, but also finding what is your learning style and how can you adapt that. In an ever-changing world, this is it's those people that can adapt to the changes that are going to survive, right? That's kind of law of evolution, which I'm sure you guys have probably debunked by now. But yeah, this is finding new ways to research things, new ways to look into things, try new methods of study and learning. There's I I can't remember what it's called, but there's a school of thought that talks about not only your learning styles, because that's quite outdated now, but it talks about like the, you know, meta habits and all of that sort of stuff, finding the best way to learn things. You know, some people say it's the bite-sized chunks and lots of them. Other people say it's like long, prolonged hours and all the rest of it. You know, some people say it's 10,000 hours to master a skill and blah, blah, blah. Finding new ways to do that, new ways to ingest information so that you can store it, disseminate it, analyze it, and then, you know, disseminate it again in a way that actually, you know, touches and reaches people. All the knowledge that you've spent your entire lifetime gathering, this is a year for you to share it. This is a year for you to put it out there, because it will be greater received this year, especially if it's a different school of thought, or it's a really out there idea, or it's abstract or conceptual. This could be a really great year for you, because people are like, yeah, you know what, I'm open to new ideas, progressive things, you know, innovative things. Why not? You know, what's ingenious and ingenuitive? Let's delve into it. This is a year to discover new spiritual methods and maybe even build a new spiritual practice or an alternative spiritual practice, maybe to finally start building one or making one. And one thing I have to stress to you, if you are a life path 7, doesn't matter how far you go off the scientific deep end, you must, if you want to win life, whatever that means to you, you're not, you know, it's not a game or the rest of it, but if you want to do life well, if you want that extra dimension, if you are a life path 7, you must find, create, and work with a spiritual practice. It doesn't have to be religious. Just this idea that there is something else behind it all, because if you just go down the linear sort of scientific way, it can really hold you very, very rigid. You know, 7 needs something spiritual in order to unlock all of its true potential. And then finally, get excited about sharing and collaboration. Now, that's a very alien concept for you guys, right? Because you're so self-sufficient, you're so sort of self-directed and insular in a way, you know, not necessarily a bad thing all of the time, but really learning to get out there and find other people. What is it that Deadpool said? Your crazy matches my crazy, and I love it. That works, right? That absolutely works. Find, you know, this is a year to express your own weird and wonderful, and it's a year to let people see your weird and wonderful and share that with them. So the challenges this year that you are likely to come up with or face: being brave enough to share some of your deeper thoughts, feelings, and findings, things that you've discovered, uncovered, or, you know, things that you've kind of put together in the, you know, as it is. And you guys tend to be able to see connections where most people can't. It's a true gift. Finding ways to open up and share. This could be a challenge for you, because it really is, you know, it's an energy that's kind of peopling. It's kind of like an energy that you're at odds with. Welcoming people into your inner sanctums, whatever they might be. This could be the year where people do discover things about you and they are curious to know more. The challenge is going to be is how far do you let them in and how much do you want to share? Being aware that not everyone sees what you do or knows what you do. And this kind of goes into that whole idea of the matrix. Not everybody's ready to be unplugged. So, you know, this idea of, you know, because you might be like, this is great, everyone's loving it. So what about this, guys? And some people are like, again, maybe that was a little bit too far. You know, not people like me, because I'm open to all ideas, right? But you know, finding your tribe to share this stuff with. That's probably the best way to put it. Maybe finding smaller groups to interact with. That will really, really help you. The challenge this year that you might face as well is being more stoic or solitary, even in groups. You might find it a challenge. You might sort of want more, you know, to continue in your own little bubble. This year is not going to allow you to do that. The energy isn't there for it. So if that is the case, get ahead of the curve. Find people that you are going to be able to connect and interact with. That's the best way forward. Your blessings this year. Not getting enough one of the other things for your challenge is maybe not getting enough credit in groups. It might be that, you know, people take that and they're like, oh well, you know, this person said this, and they just kind of go off on their own tangent with it. So if you do have anything like in the way of an idea or whatever, just make sure you copyright it or patent it. That way it will, you know, stop any future issues. Your blessings this year: ability to make exciting new discoveries, which is great, which is wonderful. You know, even for you guys, not everything is being uncovered yet. That's life. Finding groups and people who resonate with you, or your spiritual path or your spiritual practice, if you have one, and if not, this year could offer you the opportunity to find one. You know, they could be far and wide and varied. Having ideas that unfold new paths for you, so you could have lots of ideas, lots of innovative ideas this year that send you off in different paths and introduce you to new things, new people, new things to study, new things to learn. And then magnetic, powerful energy. This year you could be very magnetic, you could be very powerful, and you could also be, prone to telepathic sort of feeling. This could be a year where your physical senses are heightened, so, you know, your smell, your touch, your taste, your sense of hearing, all of it could be heightened this year. And then finally, your key advice for this year: learn to break out of the box. Be prepared to create new traditions. Remember, all traditions at some point were started by one person or one group of people. Why not you? And then finally, be aware of your own energy. That's really, really important. This year, your energy is going to be big, it's going to be bold, it's going to be expansive. So pay attention to how you use it, and ultimately pay attention to what influence it may have on other people. Especially if you find that lots of people are suddenly drawn to you, or people seem to be lustful in your presence, and you're kind of like, okay, that's weird. Well, you're being creepy, and it might actually just be your energy that is either stifled or not being used in the correct way. January brings you the Tower. So this is going to be a year of change and upheaval for you. Interestingly enough, Life Path 6 got this card in this same position, but it was a different deck. So it does tell me that for you guys, there are big changes straight out of the gate. Now, this is going to be an energy that is quite jarring to you because it's so at odds with what you are all about, with what you stand for. This is going to be a year that will break you out of that. Now, the thing that you need to know is it can either happen consciously, where you can drive it and be ahead of the curve, or it will drag you kicking and screaming. The Tower card kind of suggests that might have to be the way. So, learn to ride it out. This relates to the Three of Wands. So for a lot of you, this does look like there is a change to your business, there's a change to your work, or change to your, maybe even a change to your business ideas, maybe a change to ways that you were hoping to progress or to proceed forward. Your Three of Wands is about expansion, but it's also about looking at the path that you've taken. You could be having a really big realization about work, about business, about where it is that you want to go in January. It may very well see you leaving something behind that you've been doing for a long time. Maybe it's a school of thought, maybe it's even a belief structure or a system of some sort. This could be you saying, you know what, that no longer holds true for me anymore. And that could, even that, when we get rid of a belief system or we change something fundamental in our belief system, sometimes it can throw you into a tizzy, but it can also reveal this, because the Tower, shocking revelations, right? So I feel like as well on the wider world stage, we're going to see something happening with the transport industry. The transport industry is going to be in the public eye for the whole of the year, and there's going to be a lot of interesting developments across that, so it'll be really interesting to see. For February, you have the Temperance card. So yeah, look at this. No, wrong deck. You have the Judgment card. Right, so blast from the past. February is bringing someone or something back from the past in your life. And look at this, right? So I said here that you may be looking back over the past or observing what's taken place there. And then here in February, it looks like you're picking something back up. It looks like you might be going off in a direction that has kind of like a previous feel to it. It comes with the King of Wands. So whoever this person is, they are very likely to be a Sagittarius. Sagittarius. The reason I say that is because the King of Wands is a fire sign male, and this would be a Leo, Aries or Sagittarius. And with the cards that seem to be present or surrounding this, I would go straight to Sagittarius. A Sagittarius person is very likely to feature for you in February. This could be somebody that you know, because it is coming with the Judgment card. So this is somebody that is likely coming back into your life. It may be even an old path that you go down. Maybe it's an old teacher or an old mentor of some sort, but there is definitely someone that's coming back into your life in February, and in a really big way. Now, whatever it is that takes place in January could very well be the reason that you're seeking some sort of familiarity. When your whole life sort of changes or goes in a completely different direction, February could be the month where you're saying, right, okay, I need some sort of stability or something that I know, so I'm going to find somebody that can offer that. And it does look like somebody's coming back in from your past. For March, you have the Death card, right? So this whole first quarter of the month, of the year for you, is going to be about big changes, big shifts, big moves in different directions. This is going to throw up some really... it could be tumultuous, but could also be really exciting. It just depends on how you receive it and ultimately what you do with the energy. March does look like it's going to be a time where you are making a decision to let something go finally. Now, like I said, here in January, you're already making the decision, or on that kind of job work front. And then you've got the Magician card with the Death card. So March could be a time where you're letting go of a specific job. So it doesn't necessarily mean that January is going to be that month, but it does, it does look like whatever is thrown up in January could create enough of, enough tension here for you to say, right, okay, I need to go off in a different direction now. March could be a time where you're discovering a new spiritual practice. For those of you that are interested, you could be studying or looking into mediumship. That's definitely a possibility with these two cards together. For some of you, this will be about a very... for some of you, it could even be about joining some sort of secret society. That's definitely a possibility with these two cards as well. The other thing is, because your Magician card is about communication, it's about the world at large, it's about you rising up through the ranks. This could be that for some of you in March, maybe you're declining a promotion. Maybe there's some sort of step up or some sort of step forward that you're declining because it comes with the Death card, right? So this is about you saying, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to commit to it. Maybe it doesn't resonate with you. Maybe it's not what you want. Maybe it doesn't come with the perks or the benefits that you believe that you deserve. Either which way, March is going to be a really interesting time for you, and it does look like some sort of progression or advancement. It's almost like I feel like you're saying, you know what, yes, it's an amazing chance or opportunity, but it doesn't feel like it's for me. It doesn't feel like it will offer me what I want and need in the long run. April, you have the Wheel of Fortune, all right? So here in April, this is where things start to change or turn for you, which is nice. Luck, success, abundance, but also synchronicity. Remember, the Wheel of Fortune tends to bring things up spontaneously. And this has a lot to do with the King of Swords. So very likely that this person is going to be either a Gemini, or I would probably say with the Wheel of Fortune, a Libra. So this person is very likely to be one of those. Now, what I'm finding, because you've got two kings here, you've got the King of Wands and the King of Swords. Whenever you see two kings like in close proximity, two kings is about minor counsel. So this could be about you getting a second opinion. Maybe you're consulting a counselor, a doctor, maybe some sort of spiritual practitioner or advisor. This could be coming in for you. April does look like you are finalizing some sort of travel plans, and it looks like whatever travel plans you are finalizing in April, these will be ones that require a visa, some sort of paperwork, some sort of documentation. April does look like you are planning a trip or planning travel, but you're getting, it looks like some of you are either getting jabs, maybe some of you are getting your visa sorted, or your paperwork, or your permission slips, whatever it is that you need to travel to certain places. April looks like a month where you're putting those things in place. In May, you have the Hanged Man. All right, so May is going to be an easier month for you. This is where you're kind of hanging back, taking a moment to observe and assess, and maybe even to reassess some stuff as well. Remember your Hanged Man, very spiritual card. It's actually the card that represents your ruler as a life path 7 of Neptune, which is nice. It's a good energy, but remember as well, this can sometimes be where you're giving too much or where you're overstepping. Now, this comes with the Chariot card. So some sort of knowledge, information becomes relevant. This could be, and that's interesting, isn't it? Because your Hanged Man card is a slow down, but your Chariot card is a speed up. May could be a time where you feel like you're driving with the brakes on. My advice to you as well, because it's the Chariot over the Hanged Man, if you're considering buying a car, buying any mode of transport here in May, please hold off, especially if it's a big purchase, because it looks like you don't have all of the facts or the energy around it, or maybe even the item that you're purchasing is not necessarily above board. Now, the thing is, because you've got the Chariot card there, you'll get the money, you'll get the finance or the funding for it, but the Hanged Man is kind of saying, not yet. Now is not the time. So if there's a big purchase that you're hoping to make, especially of a vehicle or something of that nature, May is not the month. June, you have the Sun. So if you can wait a month, until June, go for it. That's much brighter energy, much more powerful. And I have to say, actually, out of all of the readings I've done so far of these, and I haven't, at this point that I'm recording this one, I haven't finished the Zodiac. Yours is the only life path number so far that has pulled the Sun out of all of the cards that have come up. So that's interesting. All right, let's see what this might relate to. The 9 of Wands, right? So this gives you a chance to speak. It gives you a chance, whatever travel you are planning in April, it's very likely to go ahead either in at the end of May or going into June. June looks like a much better time of it. But what I will say to you is, because it is the 9 of Wands, it does look like there's some sort of disruption, some sort of delay to the travel. What you need to know though is, because it falls on the Sun card, you'll get to where it is that you're hoping to go. It just may not necessarily be on the specific date that you're hoping for. But either which way, June is a good month for you, even with the 9 of Wands. One thing that I will say to you as well, because it is the 9 of Wands, just be cautious if you're going on any expeditions, if you're going playing water sports, anything like that, because June could throw up some sort of minor injury. Now, it was very likely to be a minor injury because you've got the Sun card there, so it kind of cancels out any of the heavier meanings. So just be cautious in June, because it does look, it could be something like a twisted ankle. If you go, I don't know, horse riding, you could be thrown off the horse. It is with the Sun card, so like I said, it kind of lessens that, but just be aware. July, you have the Devil card, right? So what is it that you are addicted to or tied to? And the thing is, with the Devil card, it usually tends to be a repeated cycle. So let's see what that might pertain to. The Ace of Swords. When it comes to contracts, especially anything that you're signing here in July, be really, really clear on what it is that you expect, and ultimately what it is that's expected of you, especially if this relates to a new job, maybe again a big purchase or buying a home, when it comes to starting a business, when it comes to a book deal, a contract of any sort. When it comes to July, whatever it is that you're thinking about signing for or starting on, my advice to you is be very, very cautious that this is what you want for the long term, because the Devil card kind of foresees that, and it says, right, well, you might align with this, you might get what you want at that moment, but it may very well be a commitment that ends up costing you later down the line. Also, with your Ace of Swords, this is about a decision, right? It's about a decision that needs to be made. And it comes with the Devil card, so this could be where you're seeing the results of a choice that you've made. So especially if you're making a purchase in May, by July you could be thinking to yourself, okay, you know what, I wish I hadn't done that. So just be really, really clear about it. this seems to be speaking to me as well, but we'll have a look. So you've got the Magician card for August. So you've got a double hit of that Magician card energy. This could be a powerful year for you, especially if you delve into, you know, the mystical, magical art, so to speak. If you want to have your Doctor Strange moment. And this relates to, look at this, the High Priestess, right? So that is magical practitioner. If you've ever thought about learning hoodoo, root work, witchcraft, maybe, you know, any of those things, anything where you are actively participating in spellcraft, spell work, these are things that you could very well be learning over the course of this year, especially in August or March again. So March is more favored for mediums. August is probably more favoured for those of you that want to learn to be, you know, a witch, a druid, spiritualist, hoodoo, root worker, all of that sort of stuff. Very favoured here. The other thing is as well, on a practical or a mundane level, this could be about you finally ready to share some of your secrets, whatever they might be, you know, whether this is about your spiritual path, whether it's about, you know, some of your literary works. This could be the time of year where you really are coming to the fore, but you're shining for it, which I really, really like for you. I have to say though, even though you've got the Sun card here, this is probably one of the more intense years that I've seen. I mean, the Life Path 4s, I think, I have to say, hands down, they have it worse than anybody this year. They really do have the most challenges. But you guys are definitely feeling your moments. Then you've got the Chariot card right underneath the Chariot. September is a month where you can purchase a car, a vehicle. It looks like a month where you are... So the months that you're likely to travel are going to be June and September. Now, one thing that I do want you to be clear on, September, no, sorry, this is 2021. Ignore me. Yeah, it looks like some form of travel. And this comes with the Knight of Wands. So September is a month where you are definitely traveling. This is where you're going to see something in the world. Maybe you are traveling for a reason, possibly a festival. Maybe for some of you, this is about a discovery that you've made or a place that will hold knowledge and information for you. It looks like you are, you know, really charging off in a big way in September. And I really like this for you because it looks like maybe some sort of completion of a study, but also you delving off into something that you're really passionate about, something that you really want to do. October, you have the Temperance card. And this is nice, right? So it sees you now. Thing about September and October, because you've got the Temperance card there, a young Sagittarius person may very well feature in September, October time, and that's something that you want to look out for. Or maybe this is you teaching a group of young people about spirituality or something that is, you know, considered a little bit out there. On top of that, you have the Page of Pentacles. If you've ever thought of starting a business or there's something that you do as a hobby that you want to turn into a business, October will reveal to you what can be done about that if the energy is there for it. The other thing as well, October could be a month where you're really doing a lot of very deep personal work on what your soul calling is, what it is that you really feel drawn to, what it is that you feel really excited or powerful about or by. Yeah, I mean, October looks like a nice month for you actually, because it's very much a combination of energies that I would say is very much you know, how you marry the spiritual with the tangible. October's a power month for you, it really is. You've got the Moon card for November, so delving into the past or revisiting the past in some way. But also something is kind of revealed. Now, I've been seeing across the readings for 2021, some big event in November seems to be taking place on the wider world stage. There's something that is either revealed, something that we see, something that happens. July, the other thing as well in you know, the interrupted messages for the world, July looks like a month where we may be seeing something explode on the wider world stage, whether this is a war, maybe it's a clash of some sort, maybe, you know, it could be anything, but these seem to be the 2 months to watch out for. So November, you have the King of Pentacles. You've got 3 kings here. right? So kings are the highest expressions of their suits. Kings represent they represent the highest or the purest expression of that energy. So here in November, we've got an earth sign male, Taurus, Capricorn, or a Virgo could be featuring. November looks like a month where your finances might be taking a hit. So my big advice to you is throughout this year, just squirrel away a little bit of money, because November looks like your money or your finances could be a little bit wishy-washy, or maybe maybe they're just maybe they take a dent or a hit of some sort. So just be prepared for this month. It's going to be November will be the month where the finances maybe take a dip, or a spill. And you end on the Empress, right? So don't worry too much about this, because whatever or whoever it is, it's very likely that whatever happens to your money, it's very likely that it's replaced here in December. Now, this King of Earth or King of Pentacles is very likely to be a Taurus, because it falls right next to the Empress. So this is going to be somebody that of a Taurus or Taurian nature. On the wider world stage, we might see something happening with finances, money, or the monetary system. That's definitely possible. For you personally, this looks like your change of residence or change of or the place that you settle in. December looks like a nice month, and it's coupled with the King of Cups. There's going to be an offer or an opportunity that will be presented to you in December that is going to really take off for you. It will be one that really sets you up financially. It will be also one that sets you up materially, that will carry you on into the next year. So as this year starts for you, it ends on a completely different energy. So just consider that, no matter what the challenges are this year, and there will be some, you will not only come through unscathed, but by the time you reach the end of the year, you're definitely going to thrive. Your key to the year is the Justice card. Find balance this year. That's what you need to do. You need to find balance between the outer and the inner realms. You need to bring the inside realm outward, and you need to bring the outside energy of the 5-year inward, right? So the name of the game is balance, but finding balance through change. So whatever you do too much of, start doing less of. Whatever you do too little of, start doing more of. And that whole thing, like I said to you, because justice is about commitment or what you sign on the dotted line. This year, just be very cautious about any type of contract, any kind of energy where you are aligning with or for other people. But remember what I said to you with your numerology. This is a year for you to collaborate or to find your people. This is a year for you to find, ways of getting yourself out there. And also, if you don't have one, commit to building a spiritual practice. It will really help you this year. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic year. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up for you. Take care, and I'll see you soon.